without further ado, we're just gonna get right into it. Obviously, the schedule did come out yesterday. Um, and look, when a lot of people talk about the schedule, they talk about, you know, what could be um let me fix this real quick. A lot of people talk about, winnable games, right? What is winnable games to everybody else? And with me, I look at it like really simple. There's two things that come into fruition here. Um, well, two. And if I'm a little echoey, just it's going to be temporary. This is going to be a total temporary site, but uh, this is what it is right now because we just moved into the new house, so we had to go with it. So, um, obviously, the schedule came out last night, and when you look at the schedule, just on a glance, you got the Green Bay Packers in Week 1. Predominantly, that could be a tough game. I think anytime you play a divisional opponent, that will be a tough game. You play the Chicago Bears Week 2. That's a home opener. I mean, Ben Johnson comes back to Detroit. It's going to be a good time for uh, the Lions because I think this is a game that they can really get a jump on. That Week 3 matchup with the Baltimore Ravens is very, very tough, and we'll get into it why I think it's a really tough game. It has nothing to do with the mobile quarterback. I think that's a very easy yet lazy take that the Lions always struggle with mobile quarterbacks. I think the NFL struggles with mobile quarterbacks. Week 4, you're going to get the Cleveland Browns. And let's be honest, the Cleveland Browns, they could be a very, very good team on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they're going to be challenged. I mean, I do. You think about Joe Flacco as a quarterback, potentially Kenny Pickett, Shadur Sanders. I don't think he's going to start, but you never really know going into Week 4. Dylan Gabriel is also on their roster. They have 4 quarterbacks. It's insane. Week 5, you will go to the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's going to be a tough game. When you look at this back-to-back here of Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay before the bye week, I think that is a very, very tough stretch of the schedule. Not a lot of people are really hammering home how tough that. Actually, you can make it 5 games before the bye week after week 1 and week 2, how hard those games can be. You get to the bye week, you play the Vikings at home in week 8, week 9. Week 10's the Commanders. You're gonna go on a 2-game road trip to Washington and to Philadelphia, and those will be 2 tough games. You come home and you play the Giants. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the Giants could be a potential. How do you want to say it? It could be a potential game where you're like, okay, that could be a game where if you don't have your things going, it could be a difficult game. Now, let's be honest with this. Let me just fix this real quick because it's bothering me. But when you think about this schedule that's coming up, it's not an easy schedule by no means. And when I talk about that week 12 matchup against the New York Giants, a lot of people are going to glance over it. But what I will say about the New York Giants, they might be an offensively challenged team in terms of the way that they play and all that jazz. But their defense is going to be really good. Dexter Lawrence in the middle of that defense, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. That defense is going to be pretty damn good, and hopefully the offensive line is really stacked. You go into week 13, Green Bay, that's the Thanksgiving game. You got another home game against the Dallas Cowboys. They come on Amazon Prime, Thursday Night Football. That'll be a lot of fun. You go to LA. And then week 16 is also a very big wild card in terms of what to expect. Because when we think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, we know that their quarterbacks right now are Mason Rudolph, who is absolute ass, and Will Howard from Ohio State, and I'm forgetting their second string quarterback, but their quarterbacks are really, really bad. So if you are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, which you are in week 16, that could be an interesting game from this standpoint. Could Aaron Rodgers be their quarterback? And I know before everyone else says, "Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback he once was. That is true. What I will say is that Aaron Rodgers is still a good quarterback and he can still be a useful player on a good team. And I look at the Steelers and I think that that defense is really, really good. And they're gonna be a tough team in that week 16 matchup because week 17 and week 18 are divisional games. So you close the season with 2 divisional games and you open the season with 2 divisional games. This is where it comes down to it. When you look at the way that things are happening, and the way that things are going, with this schedule, it sets up for a very tough schedule to start off with. Um, God, I'm having so many issues right now. But it sets up so many issues for this team because they're going to be playing a team in the first couple weeks where they're going to be playing the Baltimore Ravens, who are a damn good football team. They're going to be playing a team like the Chiefs, who are to have the best quarterback in the league. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So those first 6 weeks, you are getting 3 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's not a over exaggeration. That is just what it is. And a lot of people, they go, all right, what are games that you highlight that could be potential issues? So this was what I put together. The schedule breakdown, I think, is like this. The toughest game is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think anybody that can agree to that. Now, here's the thing about the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, when Lamar Jackson gets a chance to play a team from the NFC coming to Baltimore, it usually doesn't work out really good for the NFC. And when Mike Clay did his projections on the season, he put the Baltimore game at a 50% chance. That was the lowest chance out of all the projections that Mike Clay made on the season. I'll go through them in a minute, but that Baltimore game is going to be very, very tough. No doubt about it. I think a trap game, I think, could be the New York Giants game. When you look at the New York Giants, you go, okay, the New York Giants are a team that, let's be honest, offensively, they're ass. Quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and then Jackson Dart. I don't think you'll be facing Jackson Dart, but by that time of the season, week 12, you have no clue who could be the quarterback. And that's kind of the scary thing about that game because we've seen what Russell Wilson can do. We've seen what Jameis Winston can do. If there's an opportunity where Jackson Dart can get in the game, that could be an interesting one for the Detroit Lions. But I do view it as a trap game strictly because of that defense that the Giants have. It's a very, very good defense. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence in the middle. They were a top 20 defense last year. They're going to be a top 20 defense again, and it's going to be very, very it's going to be very, very good to watch. That game is going to be a tough game, and it's at home, so the Lions do have a better leg up than most other people. But I'll tell you this: when you play the Giants, it'll all come down to if you get a Lee McNeil back, because I think you could potentially get a Lee McNeil back by Thanksgiving. So if that's his little tune-up game, that comes into the Detroit Lions' favor. Ideally, I would love Lee McNeil back week 11, but bygones to be bygones. And the wild card game is obviously the Steelers. I think that's a game where you could look at that game and you can go, who's going to be their quarterback? That they have a good defense. I think Caleb Johnson, who is the running back that is going to be taking over for Najee Harris, I think he's going to do quite well in Pittsburgh. And I think he's more of a back that really traditionally fits the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if the Steelers can get a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, that game is a wild card to me because they have a good defense. They could really make things happen. And they have a good team. DK Metcalf is on that team now. Pat Freiermuth has always been one of the league's best tight ends, in my opinion, one of the top 10 tight ends in the NFL. And then look, your schedule breaks down like this. Best quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Best running back, Saquon Barkley. You're going to play Justin Jefferson twice. And the best tight end is Mark Andrews. But the rest of the players on this on this schedule, it's not easy. But it is what it is.